Let me say a healthy good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio. Good morning to you. Those of you viewing GBN TV, whether it's Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 20, good morning to you also. Those of you via social media platforms, whether you via the YouTube channels, the Facebook page, good morning, good morning, good morning. Those of you via GBN's webpage, good morning and welcome. It's to the point for today, Tuesday, the 17th day of September, and it's Opposition Tuesday on the program here this morning. And representing this morning, we have Mr. Bertrand John with us this morning, representing this morning. And it's actually the first time I'm having you, sir, on the program. Let me take the time out and say good morning and welcome. How are you this morning?
Morning, boss. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Feeling good. Everything is good.
Happy to be here with you.
All right. Welcome. Bertrand John, let's get a conversation rolling up this morning in terms of you being here on the program. Who is Bertrand John? If I can ask it in a regular Grenadian way of saying that. Who is Bertrand John?
Bertrand John.
Mm-hmm.
A farmer from St. Patrick's.
Mm-hmm.
Been farming for the last 30 plus years.
All right.
Have this farm around the lake. I don't know if you know Lake Antwine.
Lake Antwine. Yeah. I know of the area, yes.
That's where I do my farming, most of it.
All right. And that's it in a nutshell.
That's it in a nutshell. I don't know if you want more information.
Share some more information.
Like, question me in detail and you get detailed information.
Bertrand John, I'm assuming, well, you said farming in St. Patrick. I'm assuming you're from St. Patrick.
I'm from St. Patrick's.
Mm-hmm.
River Sally
to be precise.
Mm-hmm.
Wifey from St. Patrick's to River Sally. Anyway,
that's good.
So we have some sort of familiarities between fair.
We're probably in-laws. You never know.
You never know. I'm doubtful though, but you never know. Well, nice to have you on the program this morning for farming, agriculture. That's going to be one of the bases of our conversation this morning. So nice that it coincides with, of course, the previous program this morning. Lots of folks had a lot of conversation that refers to farming. You being a farmer, you mentioned for 35 years. What got you into farming? If I may ask, was it a generation thing, or was it something that you just gravitated into?
It was a generation thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and dad used to farm, and as kids, we go into the lands from time to time. And you just gravitate towards it. I went to River Sally School, and during my time going to school, they used to have little farm gardens in the school.
Yes.
And find that I like the whole idea about being outdoor and have a trail for watching things grow.
Mm-hmm. And that's basically it. And that's just
what gravitated me to the whole thing.
Yeah.
There seems to be some intricacies in farming. And developed the love for it right from the outset. After River Sally School, went to McDonald College, and they also had a farm there. And I thought I just didn't like the classroom. Preferred to be outdoors.
All right. Now, what type of farming do you do? What type of farming are you into?
I do large-scale farming.
Yeah.
Lots of bananas, plantain, soursop. Also involved in hydroponics farming on a large scale.
All right.
Do lettuce and tomatoes, strawberries.
All right.
Peppers.
How are you affected by it, of course, Hurricane Beryl, if I could ask that? Was it a great loss for you, or was it that significant for you?
It was a great loss. We lost about 70% of our bananas, 100% of our plantains. Hydroponic system was damaged. Lots of soursop. We had pawpaw also that we lost. But we on picking up the pieces and reorganizing and rehabilitating, and that is going fairly good. All
right. So you're saying things are getting back to a bit of normalcy for you. So that's
what it is at the point.
All right. I mean, I'm assuming for the bananas and stuff you lost. Well, that's a different conversation.
Well, they can cut it back and they would grow back fairly quick. So almost 3 months now.
Yeah.
So they're more or less looking like if nothing had happened.
All right.
Because we went in a week after and started, rehabilitating.
All right. Well, I'm assuming it's your livelihood, so I guess you will put your all into it, to get it back up and running for you, for your farm and stuff. And I'm assuming that individuals that you employ and so forth, that'll be part of helping out in the process.
Not just my livelihood. We employ 8 permanent people, persons, and they depend on the farm.
All right.
For their survival, so we have to keep it going.
All right, let's spread the conversation a wee bit. After Hurricane Beryl, agriculture, how, as it stands in Grenada right now, from your personal point of view, what would you like? How do you see agriculture as it stands right now, post Hurricane Beryl?
post-hurricane burial,
Yeah.
we had major destruction of agricultural crops in the north of the country.
Yeah.
And what happened is that people had expected a plan, more or less, so to speak,
Yeah.
as to the way we're moving forward, how we're going to more or less resuscitate the sector. And for us, it's a bit different because we can get back in and start, doing things right from the outset. But for some people, for most farmers, they have issues because it doesn't have the capital. And I'm not here to speak about myself. I'm here to speak about agriculture in general.
Yes.
And I think the care that the farmers actually needed, I don't find that they're getting it.
All right.
And I think that's the general consensus outside there.
Conversation you've been having with farmers thus far in terms of, the agriculture sector, post-burial once again. What are those conversations? What are some of those conversations that you've been having with farmers, if I could ask you that?
A week after the hurricane, I visited mostly all the farms in my constituency, in the surrounding areas close to me, like Hermitage, River Sally, Shantimel, Montreach, Snell Hall, those places. And there seems to be basically one cry, is that farmers need what you call carrying capital.
Yeah.
Most of the farmers in the north of the island and to a certain extent, places like St. Mark's, where we had some damages also. Some of those farmers depend on the land for their survival, for their livelihood. And more or less, farmers was, they wasn't really concerned that, hang on, we're not being given money to set back up. But the care, the concern, the sensitivity,
Yeah.
they weren't seeing it. Nobody visited them. Nobody, tell them what it is going on. Up to this point in time, there are farmers who had damages to the crop, and they haven't seen an extension officer. They haven't seen anybody to do any form of assessment or those kind of thing. And I think they seem to think that, hang on, they are neglected.
All right.
And at this point in time, 3 months after the hurricane, farmers not even, give them a bit of compensation that was promised.
Well, we've been hearing from government in terms of the assistance that government has planned to offer to farmers and so forth. I mean, hearing some of the incentives will be rolled off more or less from this week. What are your concerns as relate to that in terms of the incentive packages that will be offered to farmers?
Well, the incentive package is not clearly defined. That's the first thing. You hear people saying, hang on, if you have 5 acres and under, you will be given $4,500. If you have over 5 acres, you'll be given $9,500. This is the general note, the general information that seems to be circulating. How you come up with that assessment, I really don't know.
So you're saying more or less that is inadequate for farmers to get themselves back up and running?
Grossly inadequate. And that's not the way you distribute money. You need to have a plan to distribute money if you're going to basically rehab the agriculture sector. You don't say if you have 5 acres, you get X, and if you have 10 acres, you get Y. What happens if you have 5 acres and everything damaged? And the man have 5 acres or somebody else have 5 acres and they only have, minimal damages. Are they eligible to the same compensation? Nope, I don't think so. That's not the way you achieve your objective, because your objective is to basically to get the agriculture sector back up and running. So if you want to get it back up and running, you need to ensure that you be specific in the way you help people. And this thing about 5 acres you get X, 10 acres you get Y. This seems like political distribution of money. Generally, you don't get the expected result. It should be based on need, and not just a package where you say you get X and you get Y. What happens if people like me does not need the money? Why are you giving me for? Tell me.
Well,
Wasting government resources.
I understand where you're coming from, but you're saying the manner in which government have came up with the assessment that they came up with is not adequate at all.
I'm not saying the money not adequate, and the manner in which they want to distribute the money is not sensible.
But how did government come up with that particular assessment?
You would have to ask them that. This is lazy-minded people to me, and I'm not here to be political or to criticize government. This seems to be a normal pattern that government seems to distribute things. Yeah. And I'm saying, no, it should be done based on needs. You have extension officers, you should go into the field, you should do your assessment, and you should help people based on what they need to get them back up and running.
Well, what are you hearing are some of the basic needs from farmers? If you could, what some of the basic needs from farmers that in general? You said you have been around after Hurricane Beryl, you have spoken to numerous farmers. What are some of the basic needs you think that farmers need right now to get their farms back up and running? Besides the incentive that government have offered, yes, it's going to go somewhere in terms of helping them to maybe there are things they need to purchase and so forth. But what are the basic needs to get the farming sector resuscitated and moving it? What are some of the basic needs you've been hearing from farmers?
What farmers need is basically help with regard to the land clearing and planting back, and they need something what you call carrying capital.
Yeah. Explain that a big bit for me. The carrying capital that you speak of.
The one-off payment where you give somebody $4,000 or whatever. By the time this person goes to the farm shop and buy some fertilizer and some chemicals, it is done. I'm saying yes, and I want to applaud the government. Yes, you're giving something, and this is appreciated. However, you can't just give that and stop. You should have a plan. Because you wouldn't achieve your objective if you want to rehab, if you want to resuscitate the agriculture sector. You would have to do a lot more than that. And I'm not saying that you ought to give in people money every month, every, whatever. It's not like that. However, every farm needs to be assessed. And you should give in people monies, or you should be assisting people based on their needs. Sometimes somebody may not even need money, they may just need advice. Some people may not need capital. They may need a bit of machinery help. Some people may just need planting materials. So I think government should take this thing out of the hand. And I don't know if you remember after Ivan, there's something they call ARD, I think,
yes, I remember.
Agency for Rural Transformation, where you had a group of, sensible people, intellectuals who came together, had an office, and they were given the task to help, rehab the agriculture sector. And I think the same thing should happen here. I don't think, I'm not blaming government or anybody. I'm not blaming politicians. I don't think they know better. What needs to happen is that you need some technocrats to sit down and devise ways and means as to how we move in the sector forward. And you have a plan, and you work with that plan. When you give a guy $4,500 and you have commitment elsewhere, do you think that money is actually going back in the agriculture sector? I doubt it very much.
Well, I would guess that they would think that it's going to be used for the purpose that it was intended for.
Well, I should think is not what you think.
Yeah.
You need to make it happen. You are the leader. And if you set out to achieve a particular objective, then you need to work towards that. You can't be hopeful in life. You can't be living on hopes and dreams. You have to live on ways and means. And that means taking the money and putting it in the appropriate place to ensure that you get the expected result.
All right. We drew for a break. Let's take our first break in the program. When I come back, I want us to spend a little time thinking about the way forward for agriculture in Grenada. It's always been spoken about agriculture is on the decline. From you being a farmer, and of course, I hope you're able to give us your personal perspective on it in terms of the way forward for agriculture in Grenada. When we come back, we talk about that.
No problem.
All right. Hey, folks, stay with us. It's To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. I'll be right back after the break. Don't touch your dial, folks.
Here at Concord Distributors Limited and Grenada Steelworks Limited, your local hardware store, we offer a wide variety of hardware and household items, such as roofing sheets in a variety of colors, building materials, electrical, plumbing fixtures and fittings, tiles, doors, windows, and more. Visit Concord Distributors Limited on Dusty Highway in Grand Anse or call us today at 444-4692 or 444-1024. You can also reach us via WhatsApp on 407-1024 or visit our Facebook page, Concord Distributors Limited. Concord Distributors, the name you can trust for all your construction needs.
As GBN brings you the thrilling coverage of this year's Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League, please note there will be some adjustments to our regular programming lineup. From Tuesday, September 17th to Friday, September 20th, transitions will be at 5:05 p.m. GBN Television News will air at 6 p.m., followed by a repeat right after the CPL match. And don't miss the rebroadcast of transitions after the news repeat. GBN with you anywhere and everywhere with the best in sports coverage. Stay tuned and stay informed with GBN.
Welcome back once again to our listeners and viewers this morning. It's To The Point here, and representing this morning the opposition here on the program, we have Mr. Bertrand John this morning. And we're speaking a whole lot about agriculture. So, John, welcome back once again. Before the break, I was mentioning, I want to speak away from your personal perspective on the way forward for agriculture in Grenada. For years, we always been hearing the conversation. Agriculture is on the decline. You know, the lack of interest from especially the younger generation and so forth. In your personal perspective, what's the way forward for agriculture in Grenada, if there is a way forward for it?
I'm sure there is a way forward.
Yeah.
First, I think we need a national farm plan.
Yeah.
We seem to be working without a plan. So anything goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you don't know where you're going, any road taking you there. Let's take, for example, Cocoa Association, Nutmegs Association. Are we really satisfied with how they are functioning? I don't think so. I think a lot more can be done, but we don't have a plan as to how to do it. So therefore, we're on cruise control. For example, we have some, ordinance that run and govern those organizations from God knows when. Nobody, prepared to change those. We have the banana sector, more or less destroyed. And the burial even making it worse. This morning I heard on Mr. Joseph's program that people are talking about affordability, that things are so expensive. We also have to think about the cost of inputs. This is in the hands of private people, and there is no problem with that. But there is no price control.
Well, so someone may object to you saying that. They will say, well, this is not a new problem that we're experiencing here in Grenada in terms of the agriculture sector, the cost of prices of agricultural produce and stuff. Mm-hmm. People may say it's not a new. We have different, of course, political organizations, different governments ruling, of course, and it has always been like that. I just want to hear from you. Dropping on the political part.
I'm not being political.
Dropping on the political part of it. But what more do we need to do to get agriculture being the way it used to be, maybe 60 years ago? How could we get that revitalized in Grenada, where it's what drives the economy?
Well, you see, the world is a dynamic place.
Yes.
I couldn't think about it how it was done 60 years ago.
I know, I understand.
Things
We're not
have
going back there,
changed.
but
No.
it was good back then to a point.
Well, it was good to a point
Yes.
back then. I'm saying that we can do it better because we should be more scientific in our approach as to how we deal with, farming. And we need to see it as a business. And we need to put our money where our mouth is. Do you listen to, and I'm not talking about this government, I'm saying governments.
Yeah.
Do you listen to the budget? Do you see what they allocate for agriculture? What it is being located for agriculture is just to pay wages and salary. Where are the investment? Where are the capital projects? Where are the different projects? Where are the international funding that you can source to develop your country in such a way that you make it sustainable, that you make it formidable? Where are those? Where are the education in our schools that centered around, creating the next generation of farmers? Where are those? All the school gardens disappear. Children come out to school and they have what? A in agriculture? And they don't even understand how to plant a country. Where are we going with those? Tell me.
How could we revitalize or bring back that interest in agriculture with the lack there is right now, especially when it comes to the younger generation now? We understand technology and so forth, but the part that it could play in revitalizing agriculture, and we know that now a young person would more prefer go to the hotel sector or something of that sort more than go get their hands dirty. We would say it in that way. You understand? How could that be revitalized in a way of especially getting the younger generation the interest?
Need to make it more profitable.
Profit is a key.
That's what is the key.
But to get the interest into it, that will develop the profit.
The thing is that money, all right, is an incentive, and seems to be the main incentive for young people these days. And if you're not talking quick money, if you're not talking about, sustainability, they will go and look for a job where they think they can get permanent employment. Farming is high-risk business,
Yeah.
And you don't want to go and invest your money in something. And where we are living, in vulnerable areas where we can get, hurricane almost every year. You have your investment and all of a sudden everything is eroded by, overnight. So the young generation know, they're really stupid, as people think. No. What we need to do is to ensure that when people get involved in farming, especially the young people, they are more or less covered, they are protected. Where are the crops, where are the crop insurance? Tell me. Farmers would have lost, sometimes 100% of the crops, and somebody come and they offer you $4,500. And you would accumulate whole heap of debt within that time, and then they expect you to, survive. They expect you to take those monies and invest in agriculture again. You are delusional to be thinking that way. I am saying that the government need to have a national farm plan. You need to, in that plan, there should be a whole heap of things that are taken into consideration. The educational aspect, the economic aspect, the social aspect, the socio-economic aspect, all of those things.
Well, folks would say we cannot always leave it up to government to do everything. Is there a main farmers association here?
They are the leaders. I'm not saying that you need to leave it. In fact, it's the private sector that normally drive agriculture. Government are the one to devise the policies. Yeah. They are the one to basically know which direction you're actually taking the country. And that's what is the problem. We don't have a clear direction.
But how possible it is for farmers in Grenada to come together and put together a policy and probably bring it to government and have it implemented in some way or the other?
Well, there used to be a national farmers organization. I don't know if you heard about it.
Does it still exist?
I don't know. It's quite possible. But some of the educated people in our country, the technocrats, that was at the helm of those. And we are there today. Because they only do those things to basically tap into resources that are passing their way. And they never filtered to the farmers. And that's that. I am saying that you can have a national farmers organization that take care of those things. But who ought to basically support that group? Tell me.
Well, most of it's government.
Exactly.
Government, yes.
And that's the problem. They leave you on your own. And when you get fiddled and blown away, they're saying you don't have that. I'm saying that this is new and people's hands need to be held and need to be guided. And we are paying, what, $20-30 million every month in salaries and wages. And we have a whole heap of technocrats. Some of them we send and study abroad. What they're actually doing for Grenada in relation to agricultural development. You tell me. We have some really bright folks who work with the United Nations and work internationally and regionally who understand those things. Some of them retired, some of them are here. Are we tap into those kind of resources and try to get something tangible coming from it? I'm fine.
What are some of the incentives are needed? I'm still trying to get that grounded from you. What are some of the incentives that are needed most to get, the farmers and individuals just interested in farming more in Grenada?
Motivation.
What does it say? Well, we know money is a key factor.
Yeah, money is also important. But we constantly being there for people to show that you are sensitive, to show that you are there. And if you remember when Judge Bertrand,
yes,
ex-Prime Minister, used to be Minister of Agriculture, there was a different, how I should put it, there was a different notion, there was a different sentiment as to how people see agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember during the revolution, if it was born them time there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Farmers take pride in what they're doing. Mm-hmm. There was a different feel in your country. Farmers see themselves doing things from a patriotic standpoint. Well, you don't educate your people about patriotism. How you expect them to build and develop? Tell me. It's a mental thing. It's a mindset. Mm. And you have those kind of problems. Politicians playing the fool left, right, and center. They don't care. They're acting in a irrationally responsible way. Don't you think that's going to filter its way right down through the very fabric of its society? Don't you think the farmers will do accordingly? But it starts with the leaders. And I'm not speaking political. I'm just giving you the reality. It starts with the people at the top. Policies, plan, resources. The right people, implementation.
I know you said you don't want to get too political.
No,
but do you think that the government of the day today they have clear policies towards agriculture? In terms of what you hear in some of the the ideas that they have put forward and ways of wanting to develop agriculture thus far, do you how do you view some of the policies and ideas that they have put forward thus far to get that revitalization of agriculture in Grenada as a whole?
Well, I don't judge a man by what him say, or I don't judge a group by what them say. I judge someone by the commitment to what it is they set out to do. And are you telling me, based on the budget that I heard from the last budget cycle,
yes,
are you telling me that there is an interest there? No. If you had an interest there, your allocation would be different. That's it.
That's basically it.
Well, you have to read between the lines here, because I'm saying we shouldn't be political and not sitting here to bash any government or to bash anyone. I'm just giving you the facts as they are. And I'm saying that, as far as I'm concerned, if you are really committed to something, you will put your money where your mouth is. You will show your commitment by what it is you're willing to invest in that particular thing. And I'm saying that if you look at the correlationship between your tourism sector and your agriculture sector, you will see what I'm talking about. You can see where your interest lies. You can see where the monies are being spent.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, because tourism on a whole, folks will say it's one of the areas that brings a lot of income to the country. All right.
Yes.
Our agriculture sector has gotten to a stage where there's not much being exported. All right. There's not much. If there is, there's not much, of course. But agriculture has gotten to a stage where it's minimal in terms of even support us as the country as a whole for itself. You understand?
I understand.
There's much, but tourism and so forth, we get that income that brings that offer support in a broad sense, unlike agriculture. So I'm assuming governments, past and present, may put the emphasis into what gets that quick return back as incentives more than agriculture.
Well,
am I wrong by saying
no, you're not wrong. But I'm saying sometimes quick fix is not the solution to the problem. You just get a quick fix. You need permanent fix.
Yeah.
And permanent fix means investing in your agriculture sector. Did you see what happened during the pandemic when tourists can't come in? Did you see what happened to the tourism sector?
Yes.
Did you see how many people were out of a job? And did you see we had to more or less find money to support the same, hotel industries and all of those? That's what will happen when you don't build your foundation properly. Didn't you see everybody try to go back in the land and plant a bit of food? Didn't you see everybody trying to eat healthy so they can have better resistance and ensure that, they stay healthy? Well, think about it. If you don't invest in your people, if you don't eat properly, if you don't do the right things, it will cost you more in the end. Quick fix doesn't solve the solution doesn't solve the problem permanently. Let me give you an example. Didn't you hear in recent years and recent months that we're thinking about building a new hospital?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are thinking about curing diseases. What we need to do is to prevent the diseases. What we need to do is to eat healthier. Then we wouldn't think about a new hospital. Your nation, your population will be healthier. So do you have less sick people? And your medical bill will go down.
But then it goes around to the availability of the proper foods.
Not just the availability, the affordability too.
Yes, the affordability comes in.
Yes.
Once it's available, then...
How are you going to have it available when you don't have a plan? You're guessing. You're being hopeful. And you can't live that way. You have to make the thing happen. You have to ensure that it happens. And there is a way how to do those things. And if you don't know how to do those things, you need to ask. Don't you realize that politicians become technocrats as soon as they get into office? And they know everything? And generally they come up with the wrong solution to the problem? Because politicians will always think about politicians. What they need to do is to give the technocrats a chance to function. Problem solved. We send those people and study now. We spend a lot of money on them. We need to get them working. And politicians need to ensure that those people work. And I'm sure those people are willing to work.
All right.
But when you're playing politics with everything, what do you expect?
We're due for a break. Of course, a second break in the program. Let's take it. When we come back, we continue with the conversation. Stay with us, folks. To the point here on Classic Radio GBN TV.
The Grenada Motor Club will be hosting its second and final international drag racing event for 2024 at Pearls International Speedway on September 28th and 29th. Expect the fastest set of drag cars and bikes the Caribbean has to offer. September 27th, meet and greet at Lavo Lanes. September 28th, test and tune bracket race qualifiers. And after drags, chill out at Sizzle Bar and Lounge. September 29th, drag race finals at Pearls International Speedway. There will be a special guest appearance by one of the Caribbean's top drag racers and a special drift performance by one of the Caribbean's top drifter. Mark the dates, September 28th and 29th at Pearls International Speedway is the place to be. You don't want to miss this one.
It's the event you won't want to miss. GIDC Business Deals Day is happening on Saturday, October 12th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Frequenty Industrial Park playing field. Explore the latest products and service offerings from businesses within the industrial parks. Enjoy discounts on GIDC business support services and get fantastic deals on household items, building materials, accessories, condiments, and more, with exciting prizes up for grabs throughout the day. But that's not all. Dive into a mini health fair and career expo for valuable health education and employment opportunities, all while enjoying the songs of Trio the Band and DJ Graphic Sounds. It will be a fun-filled day filled with eats, drinks, games, deals, and more. Mark your calendars and join the GIDC at Frequenty Industrial Park playing field on Saturday, October 12th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. See you there.
Welcome back once again to our listeners and the viewers. We have Mr. Bertrand John with us this morning. Of course, it's Opposition Tuesday here on the program. And he's talking this morning. We're talking agriculture. This segment, I want to speak to you a wee bit about, of course, the food affordability. We hear a conversation all the time, particular products are very expensive. The tomatoes, the things that we consider as healthy foods to eat are pretty expensive. What do you think is the underlying cause for that happening? What do you think? Also, if it's a two-part question there, what do you think government can do, to offer a leeway in between in terms of the cost for these agricultural produce that we see that is sometimes becoming a little bit unaffordable for the regular individuals out there?
First, it all boils down to the cost of production. Remember, it costs to produce the food. It costs to produce watermelon, it costs to produce bananas, it costs to produce nutmegs and stuff. If you have extremely high production costs, generally the cost of the product that you're selling tend to be high. So first you need to take that under control. 20 years ago, I used to buy a bag of fertilizer, 100-pound bag, for $35, $40. Some cases $50 maximum. Now that same fertilizer would cost close to $200. Do you understand what is happening here? Because the input, go on appreciating so quickly, the cost for it, then it's difficult to basically control the price. Secondly, because we are not producing things on a very large scale, economies of scale, you have a problem, because what drives price is market forces. So if the thing is scarce, people are going to sell it expensive one way or another. I mean, you're passing now and you see somebody want to sell you tomatoes for $10, $15 a pound, and you ask yourself what it is really going on. In a country like Grenada, that probably should be sold no more than between $3 and $5 a pound. But people do capitalize on those things, and sometimes you really can't blame them. I am saying that it's difficult to control price when you have a free market system. People sell for what it is what they want. However, if there is a large amount of this stuff around, there is something they call market saturation. When your market is super saturated, even though you bring up the price, people don't buy more. So we need to head for that level of output, whereby you make the thing affordable. You make the thing, but at the same time, remember, you cannot sacrifice input and get the expected result. You have to give the plants what it is you need. And that is too costly. How your government can help, probably in different ways. It's difficult to regulate the prices for the inputs because these are being handled by private people. But how about a central facility such as marketing board? How about you give them a different mandate? hang on, you're not just buying and selling.
We don't have the marketing board anymore.
We don't have it anymore. It's functional as far as I'm concerned. They still grow and buy. They make foolishness out of it. But I'm saying that we had that functional. And this is a mandate I probably could have given to them. They have this space, they are the warehouses. They sold inputs in the past. Like when government are giving grants from Morocco and those other places, they help distribute and stuff like that. I'm saying that you can give them the mandate. You basically have a central facility here whereby a farmer can come in and get all the inputs that he needs for a particular crop. And if he doesn't have the money to pay for it in certain cases, instances, that he can be given on credit because he's your regular customer. And you deduct the cost for your inputs over a period of time. Marketing board used to have that arrangement, you know. Actually, I used it already. And that seems to fade away from irrigation to fertilizer to, banana sleeves, all of those. And in recent time, those things just seem to dissipate. How do you expect the farmers to survive?
So you're practically blaming the inputs on this, right?
Not just inputs alone, policies. I mean, if you doesn't have the policy, then you're not going to get inputs. If you just leave it to happen on its own, it's not going to happen. I'm saying that those things could happen. How come the private man are able to do it? And you're telling me with all the, things that we have in place, all the logistics, that we cannot do it from I'm not saying government should get involved in that. But I'm saying government have statutory bodies that can get involved in that and do it efficiently. And if you cannot do it efficiently, then you need to take the appropriate step. But when you put people to work in certain places based on political affiliation rather than the competency, then what do you expect? The result going to be a recipe for problems and disaster. And this is what you have. When you have boards that control those things and you only give in your friend a little job to be there, to support him, whatever. What do you really expect? Brethren, you can't plant corn and peas, and nothing to go so,
That's virtually impossible, right?
Yeah, nothing to go so.
Impossible.
If you don't put the right people in the right place, then you have problem with management. The proper selection and placement of people is the key to good management. You have the wrong people in some of those places, from top right down to bottom.
All right. In this segment, folks, you're also going to invite your calls from our listeners and viewers this morning if you do have a question or two as it relates to the conversation this morning. We're talking a whole lot about agriculture, and Mr. John, of course, with us this morning. Feel free. Looking at a couple of questions as relates from, of course, our listeners, viewer via the WhatsApp. There's an individual that is asking a particular question. Let me throw it out to you this morning. And this individual is saying, if you can share some strategy that he has used to rebuild your farm post-burial period. I think you did speak a wee bit about that in our earlier segments. And he also saying that you're producing some of the best bananas in Grenada. What has been done to get this quality of bananas again? Someone is asking that particular question.
Well, first, what we did after burial, I spoke a little on that, is that we went ahead right from the outset and start rehabilitating. And that requires reserve capital, and some farmers don't have that. They don't have the reserve capital to go in and do that. The second point, with regard to the quality of bananas, you cannot sacrifice inputs and get the expected result. If the banana tree require 10 bags of fertilizer to an acre, if you give it 5, the trees may still be there, but you wouldn't get the expected result.
All right.
And this is where the problem is. A lot of people, based on the limited resources that they have, they are sacrificing the inputs. And when you sacrifice the inputs, you have problem getting the crop that you really desire. Because it's like if you don't eat healthy, you have problems with your health. So your trees may go down with disease if you don't give it the right amount of nutrients. The trees don't speak, but they will show you signs that hang on, all is not well with me. And you need a trained eye in order to, to realize what it is happening, and so on. So you can't really, zero it down to one thing like, X. Banana is what? It's a big herb. It's a soft stem. And because it's a soft stem, it needs to be irrigated in areas where you don't have much water. Or else it wouldn't be turgid enough. It wouldn't take up the right amount of nutrients. And you will have breakage, you will have toppling, you will have all of those kind of problems.
All right. We do have a couple of folks calling in, and I'm sure there are questions or two they may like to ask you this morning. Let's take our first caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome, and you're live.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Good morning, host, and good morning, Mr. John. My question is this. Do you think there is a role for using composting in an organized way in Grenada and also for organic farming? I understand that the products may be more expensive, but there may be a niche for that in Grenada. What do you think about that?
Thank you, caller.
Well, I do have a bias when it comes to using compost for a lot of different reasons. Yes, I think I support organic farming to the max. What compost actually does, it actually improves the quality of your soil, and that is very important. Our soil has been depleted. Our soil has been misused with all these chemical fertilizers and other pesticide and insecticide that we are using almost on a daily basis. This soil is a living entity, and if you don't use your pen manure or you don't use your compost, so to speak, you're asking for trouble. What should I say? There is no substitute for the use of pen manure and compost. There is no substitute.
All right.
And if you go back to traditional farming, you will see some of those estates, they had cows and stuff on them. Some of them used to have what we call feedlots or pole. They would give the workers areas where they can, keep the cow, and they would cut the grass and they would buy back the manure. What we were living on is the work that was done 50, 60 years ago. And that was destroyed by the recent hurricanes that we have. And when it comes for us to plan back now, we don't have the things that the people used to use before. And we're running towards chemical fertilizer and other stuff. And we are killing our soil. So I want to support that color 100%. I support that not just because I know the importance of it, because the soil is a living entity and you can kill it. What most people think is soil and things will keep growing. That is not true.
Okay, we do have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're live.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Telesford and to your guest. First time I heard that voice, I must indeed say. I was struck when I tuned in a bit late, but let's go. This gentleman, Mr. Is it Paul or something? What is
Mr. John. Bertrand John, sir.
Bertrand John. I've never heard him before. Never heard him spoke. But he makes sense to me. He makes a lot of sense. Have we said? A lot of sense. Mr. John, I wonder where you were all these years. You mentioned a couple of things very. You spoke of the square pegs in round holes. You spoke of ministers becoming technocrats significantly. These have been the mistakes, or some of the mistakes we've been making throughout the years. And we've not been seeing progress, yet we continue to make them, Mr. John. This has to change. I'm certain you will agree with me. We can't continue this way. As Einstein said, making the same mistake over, doing the same things over and over, and expecting to get different results. Mr. John, will you support me in a call for reconstitution of this country so that we can establish above all an economic structure for the country using our natural resources and our people, the resources of human resources, but putting it in a way that no one political party or entity of politician can change it when they want, so this country can develop a proper course into its future for the next generation. Will you join me, Mr. John? What's your view on that? Thank you very much and have a nice day. Do continue. Good job, Mr. John, because you're sounding good.
Thank you, sir. Let's hear a response for the caller, sir.
Yes, I will support this caller. And my reason for that, when you have NNP in power, they have one policy: Frederick, and I'm speaking basically about farming here now. When NDC comes in power, they have another. If you keep changing the farming policies like that, you will be having problems. You will be making and breaking all the time. Do you realize that whether it be the Democrats or the Republicans in power in the U.S., the farming policy generally tend to remain the same? It don't affect it too much. And I'm not saying government cannot come in and do something slightly different. But when you come in power and you want to break up everything that you meet because it's not good because the previous one would have done it, and you set up on your own trend, on your own, your own dimension, then you're asking for problem. So I'm saying that we need to have policies whereby changing government doesn't necessarily mean a change in policy. In that way, you can have formidable development. You can have sustainable development. You don't want development that, you put a coat of paint on something and it look bright only for a year or two, and then as soon as the weather turns bad again, you have to go back and put that paint. No, you have to ensure that whatever you're doing is in the development and interest of the country. So I would support that caller 100%.
Okay, we do have another caller. Caller, good morning, you're live.
Hi, good morning to you, JC, and to Mr. John. Very interesting, and I agree with the previous caller on two counts. First of all, your breath of fresh air. You sound very different and making sense. But I'm also curious to find out where you were over the past several years. Are you really representing the NNP, or are you just here in your own capacity? Because a lot of what you are saying that happened over the years, it's almost an indictment on the NNP, if that's who you represent here today. But that besides, it's good to know you're from Riverside, and I do have my roots there. My maternal grandmother was from Riverside, and so who knows? We can never tell. But you see, we have a serious problem of conceptualizing what agriculture is. We confuse gardening with farming, and we confuse farming with agriculture. Let me tell you what I mean. No country can develop agriculture without farms. I don't say gardeners, farms. In Grenada, we have none. Very few farms, right? People do backyard gardening. People do plant a few things here, and that's the problem with pricing. Because a guy looks at his needs of his household. And if he only has quarter of an acre, he feels that quarter of an acre should meet all the needs of his household. So he has to live off it. And that doesn't really make sense. So we must have proper plans, proper structures. We cannot plant just for today. Agriculture is not just planting for now. It's about planting for storage, for processing, for when the season is off, when there is a hurricane or there is something like that. It has to be done differently. And unless we change the whole concept and the whole structure and we start confusing those simple things, we would not get it right. We would not get it right. So we have to look at proper structures, proper farms, structures for labor, for access to land, for inputs, mechanization. All those things are very, very crucial in developing agriculture. But you're onto something good, and continue it. Hopefully we will get there one of these days.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. We do have another caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome.
Hey, good morning, GT.
Good morning to you.
GT, good morning.
Good morning to you. Go right ahead with your contribution, please. We're hearing you loud and clear. Go right ahead.
All right, BJ. Today I'm here listening to you. I'm a former student of McDonald College also. And I'm listening to you, and I'm confused. You know why I'm confused? Because I listened to your Thursday program on Real FM. And all your thing is to bash the government during them time, the incompetency of the government. And you know that the problem stems in agriculture wasn't from 2 years ago. You know the best years of agriculture, we ever have with the Maribor Farming School was during the revolution. And after that, since the new National Party came in, we took a drive in agriculture. Also, that during Ivan again, the cocoa farmers and the banana farmers take a dip. Do you think since Ivan that we really recovered? And then if we're talking agriculture, we have to talk about a port. I know you mentioned nothing about a port. We don't even have a port in Grenville to say like we could export. And I want to know, what do you think about marketing? And my last question to you, do you have any political aspiration as running for Sister Pamela? Because I heard you announce that you will be taking part, you're interested in politics. What is your road leading into politics with the NNP?
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Response to the caller?
Response to the caller, or response to the callers, because we had a few people call before.
Yeah. Well, as you go along.
This morning, I am here more or less representing the opposition. Let me make this clear. I'm a member, executive member of the NNP. And with regard to me getting involved in politics, frontline politics, I am seriously looking at it. I am thinking about running for election in St. Patrick's East. Regard to marketing, I don't particularly like how we handled marketing board issues, but I think that's discussion for another day based on the time that we have. With regard to building of a port, this is something that can be looked at. If it's affecting the agriculture sector, this is something that we can, we should be able to look at. With regard to this morning's program, where people of the notion that, hang on, you implicating certain people and X, Y, and Z. I'm not here for that this morning. Yes, I represent NNP, and nobody wouldn't hear me saying that NNP didn't make mistakes. But I'm not here to discuss that. And nobody wouldn't hear me saying that NDC are not making mistakes. I'm not here for that. I'm here to give you the information that is required to sensitize the population as to the way forward. I'm not here to be political this morning. I don't think that's what my party would have sent me here this morning for. They sent me here more or less to sensitize the population as to what it is going on with regard to the agriculture sector. So we can leave all the politics and all those kind of, centric, discussion for another time. You'll be hearing me again. I'll be coming back.
Okay, great. Let's take another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome. You're live.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. How you doing?
We're doing pretty well. Let's hear from you.
How you doing, brother? JT.
Yes, go right ahead, please.
Yeah, that's my boy. That's my boy, BJ. I just want to ask him a few questions based on agriculture system. I want to know, based on Kenco, I want to know what kind of input you had in that when Kenco came to Grenada, and what kind of input you had in that. And secondly, hydroponics. How important and how long you have been doing that, and this is a viable sector for Grenadians, and we can get ahead in that. And thirdly, I have the melon for you, so fast forward. We have a number of melon just spoiling this again, and we can't get sale for it. $2 a pound, and we still can't get sale for it in this country. That's a bad thing there.
Thank you, caller. Response to the caller?
Response to the caller. Kenco. When Kenco started up in Grenada here, I was one of the founding members of that, more or less. And the reason for that is that the investor wanted to set up a factory and get farmers to produce the cane for them. And based on the stigma that associated with cane, nobody was going to do it. So we had to do it ourselves, so to speak. So for 3-4 years, set up the cane co business and get it functional and get them up to the point of producing rum. Now, in recent time, I heard that they closed down and about to do something different. However, we have 300 acres of lands that are cleared and cultivated in cane. And if we look up on the positive side, I have no doubt that we can do something, very productive with that. With those lands that are planted in cane.
Okay.
With regard to hydroponics, I'm involved in hydroponics for the last 20-odd years, almost 30 years. And this is the way to go. And if you want to get young people to get involved in farming, I think this is the way to go also. If you want to mass produce food, this is the way to go. If you want to produce healthier food, this is the way to go. However, I think we are slow to gravitate towards that. And the upfront capital for setting up, it kind of costly, but it will, more or less pay itself in the end. So you don't really have to bother about it. And you may need money to get, involved in those kind of farming. And this is, the area I want to see government spending money. This is the policy I want to see them more or less devising, whereby people can, young people can get involved in farming and seriously make money. Because this land space is getting limited, and because of the quantity of water that we have, and because of the nature of the terrain, this is the way we need to start producing food. Then you will get food a lot cheaper. This is my friend who has 4,000-5,000 pounds of watermelon, and he's selling it at $2 per pound, and having problems selling it because the market base is so limited that 1 acre of tomatoes can flood Grenada. So we have to look for external market, and I'm not saying for vegetables and other things, but we need to basically structure our farming in such a way whereby we can export what it is we grow, and we can find niche market. We have Trinidad right around the corner there. We have schooner going down every, twice for the week or once every week or whatever. We should be able to tap into those regional market if we want to. Or we need to grow crops that we can find niche market for, in the US and Canada and the UK and stuff like
great.
that.
I think we have our final caller for the morning. It's just already about 2 minutes after 10 o'clock. This will be our final caller. Caller via WhatsApp, good morning and welcome. You're a final caller for the morning.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. BJ. Listening a lot sometime on the Real FM talking agriculture. I have two questions for you. It seems as though you have a lot of experience in the agriculture field. And now I've heard you mention that you have interest in entering frontline politics. Now, my question to you, you said earlier on agriculture end up with so many square peg in the wrong hole, we dump the technocrats aside and things of that sort. Are you willing, or do you think you see yourself in a position to change the policy of agriculture from present and past administration? And you talk about the youth. What will be your approach?
Caller, we lost you there a wee bit. Okay.
Thank you very much.
We lost the final part of the caller's but I guess you guess the
I get the gist of what he was saying.
Yeah.
Caller, if there is one person that can turn around the agriculture sector in Grenada, it's me if given the opportunity. I have no doubt about that. Because of my love and passion and knowledge for doing that particular job, that particular task. With regard to the youths just need to be motivated. Why people sort of are zeroing on the young people and seems to think that, hang on, they don't want to do this and they don't want to do that. That's not true. If they're waking up 5 o'clock in the morning and go and clean the side of the road when you have your debushing program, what make you think if you have an organized farm, they wouldn't come and work with you? Think about it. It's how you approach the whole thing. I've seen them in the morning, in rain, cleaning the side of the road with the weed eater and raking up and picking up and doing X, Y, and Z. What make you think if they had to put on a coat on them and involve in scientific farming, they wouldn't get involved? Is the approach, is the policy.
All right. Mr. John, I want to, of course, invite you to a closing contribution before we take a wrap for today.
Closing contribution is that I want to tell the nation that all is not lost. We may have difficult time, we may have, turbulent time, but all is not lost, especially with the agriculture sector. We have to feed ourselves, and we have to feed ourselves properly. If we're not looking after ourselves, by producing the things that we need, we are basically signing our death warrant. And we see it happening every day with all this cancerous food and all this garbage that we are importing in our country. We basically need to, cut back on those things and take a different approach of the human resource in our country. We need to protect it. That's what we have. That's our wealth. If we don't feed ourselves properly, if we don't do the right things, colleagues, we are asking for trouble. And I'm saying that all is not lost. And this is not, a conversation this morning, that is political, between NDC and NNP. I have no time for that. When we speak in agriculture, we put politics one side. And the quickest way to mash up your agriculture sector is by getting politics involved in it.
All right.
Good morning, Grenada. Good morning, everyone. Love you as always.
Thank you, sir. Thank you a whole lot. Of course, you did plan to return on. When you return, we're probably getting more into your political aspirations of more, because we dealt a whole lot in the agriculture this morning. On your next return, I certainly hope we can do that, get you more into your political aspirations.
No problem. I would like to probably leave all the politics when I come on your radio station.
But the
general public in our country require more tastier information than politics. Aren't you find politics in Grenada coming like a papi show? That's why people like me want to get involved. So we need to stop this thing and get our country right. We need to have the appropriate people in the right place. That's why people like me want to get involved. Have a good morning, Grenada.
Thank you once again, Mr. John. Thank you so much. Hey, folks, that's where we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. I want to thank all who contributed some way or the other. Join us again for another edition tomorrow, once the Almighty permits. Have yourself a good day, folks, and goodbye.